our first caress.
Hello my friends and welcome back to Where Are They Now? In today's video, I'll be giving you the rundown on one of TV's messiest but most fabulous hosts to exist, Miss Wendy Williams. Let's dive in. Wendy Williams engraved her footprint on Hollywood's Walk of Fame from early on, first through her radio DJ employment and then again as a talk show host, and she is best known for her direct on-air personality and no-nonsense attitude. But before we get into all of this, let's rewind a bit. Wendy, born Wendy Joan Williams on July 18, 1964, was brought up in Asbury Park, New Jersey, and is currently 57 years old. From early on, Wendy referred to herself as someone who stood out. Her family of 5 with 2 siblings, Wanda and Thomas, and her parents Shirley and Thomas Williams ditched Asbury Park for a middle-class area in Ocean Township, New Jersey, when Wendy was 5 years old. Wendy spent the remainder of her childhood there. The up-and-coming media personality was everything one can find in a self-proclaimed little girl. She used to constantly say she spoke too loud, too fast, and too much, and this completely contrasted her older sister's more book-in-the-nose personality. Wanda was detailed to be a straight-A student who had the opportunity of attending Tufts University when she was only 16, but Wendy was described as a non-academic wonder. It's no surprise that she followed in her sister's footsteps to relocate as she moved to Northeastern University in Boston for post-secondary school. Wendy graduated in 1986 with a minor in journalism and a degree in communications. As for her radio DJ career, Wendy heavily involved herself in the hobby at Northeastern. It was detailed how she had hosted her own urban music show for the college's station and even interned on Kiss 108 under Boston DJ Matt Siegel. During downtime, Wendy would take the train to New York City to chill out alone and indulge in some of her favorite radio personalities on her portable device. Following her graduation, she was hired for her first on-air job at a station in the Virgin Islands. After this, her New York job came around, but she was eventually let go due to her going off script. She described her experience at the time as being too routine, when she was told to read her lines correctly and play their hits accordingly. She also explained how they would hint that she talked far too much and to stop speaking when not needed, in a much harsher way of course. Once Wendy moved on from New York to Philadelphia, she worked for the next 3 years before making her return to Manhattan to secure her spot at WBLS. Here, Williams became solid proof that she did not need to spin records as a DJ to gain attraction for the show or rack up ratings. Rather, her features as the Wendy Williams Experience took a deep dive into her personal life, where it heavily touched on details of difficulties during her time on Earth, such as her past struggles with addiction, her cosmetic surgery procedures, and her hardships of attempting to conceive. It was alleged that she modeled her on-air style after the king of all media, Howard Stern, but was later confirmed when she went on to dub herself as the queen of all media as a homage to the male audio host. Wendy was proof of her fearless ability to center herself around the lives of her 12 million listeners as she weighed in on their life's decisions. Anytime someone called in, Wendy served up mouthfuls of tough love styled advice, using her abrupt radio success to leverage additional opportunities. She soon became the author of 2 New York Times bestsellers, The Wendy Williams Experience and Wendy's Got the Heat. She continued writing a few novels and eventually landed herself a television deal of hosting her own VH1 show. In the fall of 2007, Wendy made waves in the industry when she made appearances on NBC's Today Show to dish out the latest celebrity gossip at the time. Now here's how Wendy's former time as a DJ and TV host pertains to what we've learned about her so far. The launch of The Wendy Williams Show in the summer of 2008 opened doors for a world of exposure for the former hit player. Having struck several chords through her listeners, she soon enhanced her audience through BET's trial run of her show, The Wendy Williams Show, in 2009. It hailed from the origins of her former radio show format, with a mix of celebrity dirt, A-lister interviews, and motherly advice to her audience members. Wendy also announced she would be retiring from radio around the same time. The ratings the new TV host brought in at that point motivated BET's executives to give the green light on a full run of The Wendy Williams Show the following summer. In fall 2008, as Wendy awaited the program's premiere, she was admitted into the National Radio Hall of Fame. Staying true to herself and her words, Wendy remained open with her health issues in 2017 when she informed viewers and guests of how she was dealing with Graves' disease, an autoimmune condition that ties into severe fatigue, hair loss, and anxiety. She opened up about this being one of the reasons she wears wigs, and the next year in February is when she announced that she was taking a health break for a few weeks to recover. Further into 2018, she revealed she was suffering from a hairline fracture in her upper arm. At the start of 2019, Wendy's spokesperson broke the news that she would be taking another extended break following her hospitalization from complications in line with her disease. She returned to her show down the road, but on March 4th, she admitted she had checked checked into a sober house for a while at that time. Soon, Wendy went on to birth one son, Kevin Jr., alongside her ex-husband Kevin Hunter. The two divorced after nearly 22 years of marriage, and it's reported that Wendy was the one who filed. So we now know of Wendy's fulfilling radio career and her outstanding time as a TV host with the Wendy Williams Show, garnering multiple Emmy noms. But what happens to her next? Well, the show continued its renewal through its 2020 to 2021 season on Fox, but in early March the show's 11th season broadcasted that it was discontinuing live audiences for the next 2 tapings in light of the COVID-19 pandemic, and the show's staff had filled in the seats at that point. However, it wasn't much longer before production halted the show, and Wendy had to re-emerge the show through home broadcasting under the revised title, The Wendy Williams Show at Home. This rendition was hosted through video chats in the host's apartment, but by May 15th they had to put production on hold once more due to a flare in Wendy's Graves' disease. Since then, Wendy has been heavily criticized for multiple remarks she made over time on her now cancelled show. For the first few months of 2020, Wendy got heat for speaking about actor Joaquin Phoenix by mimicking a lip curl with her finger to resemble a condition Joaquin was already denied having. There was an apology issued on air for this incident. But again, in the later month, she faced criticism for negative comments made about the LGBTQ+ community when regarding the fictional holiday Galentine's Day. In this case, her apology came in the format of an emotional video she uploaded to her social channels. Now, I won't bore you with all the details at this point, but let's be advised that the word messy at the start was meant to foreshadow what I just got into. Despite all this though, Wendy managed an impressive sweep for the talk show, with a finish between number 1 and 2 in the key demo of women 25 to 52 in 55% of the US, as well as 20 of the top 25 markets. Most recently, Wendy has done everything this year, from dishing new potential marriage details to her personal feelings about her show ending. In an exclusive Hollywood Life interview on July 11, 2022, Wendy spoke about being excited to potentially fall in love, but that she has no intentions of ever getting married again. Her romantic life seems to be pretty underwhelming now for the most part, as after her divorce from her child's father, she entangled herself in another short-lived romance with businessman Mike Esterman. They dated briefly for a few months before calling it quits in May 2021. Regardless, Wendy is glad to be keeping her romantic affairs under wraps lately after the cancellation, and is glad any potential lovers won't have to deal with the exposure of Hollywood from instances of visiting the set. Amidst the sudden end of her 14-year TV career in 2022, Wendy has some big plans in store for herself. But let's reel back for a second, because I feel like I should explain how and why her show got cancelled before we dive into what's next in line for her. In a July 12, 2022 New York Post sit-down, Wendy discussed the details of her emotions in light of her show cut. She detailed not liking one thing about the way her show was put to rest. It's reported how she gagged with disdain as she sat back to watch the superb finale of her daytime talk show in her apartment. The program was let go from televisions worldwide, and in the last episode, 55-year-old recurring starlet Sherri Shepherd stepped in again to substitute Wendy in February as she was out for her health spiral. Their placement in the finale led to some social media drama between the two women, and it's been reported how Sherri is now set to overthrow Wendy's previous midtime morning slot with her own self-titled talk show later this year. Wendy has previously experienced fainting on air due to the condition of her health, so one would think this was actually it, but surprisingly, this is not the full story of why she was never asked back for her final appearance in mid-June. She told the Post that the company and production didn't ask her to come back, so she didn't, and how she witnessed the ending with the word "eat" in mind. Despite this, Wendy holds no ill will to any of the producers and has chalked the exclusion up as a misstep in production. Since this semi-fallout, her verified Instagram and high-traffic YouTube channels have both been axed from their respective platforms. Avid fans are of course upset and were not quiet about the reveal either. Wells Fargo even froze her bank accounts in fear of Wendy suffering from mental instability in light of all her more recent hardships, all of which she denied. So, aside from her assets issue and current search for a new role in her life, Wendy has stated that she's open to the idea of possibly returning to the small screen. She informed the Post of her consideration, detailing how she has enough money to do everything she wants or nothing at all. Some of her other plans include owning an upscale restaurant serving exotic foods with her manager Will Selby, as well as a podcast in the works which she expects a fairly soon release date for. This means, aside from her traces of former glory getting scrubbed off the internet, our favorite gossipy glamour girl has high hopes of launching the Wendy Experience just now, where she notes that this opportunity will bring in a lot more money than her former TV show did. Wendy even holds future plans of dishing it all out with us, alongside famous names like Mariah Carey, Queen Latifah, and Donald Trump guest starring. Now that is it for today's WATN. If there are any other Hollywood hotties you'd like to see in our next rundown, please feel free to drop them in the comments below, and don't forget to let us know what your thoughts are on today's Where Are They Now video. This was your host Michaela, who had the pleasure of delivering today's update on your favorite celebrities, and I'll see y'all in the next one.